This is Rene Robocava and welcome to Odonet. Today I want to talk a little bit about using Vue.js with the ArcGIS API 4 for JavaScript. Now, I've talked a bit in the past about using Vue.js to write create a Vue.js component and then add that component into your Vue UI in ArcGIS API 4. And then we looked a little bit at how to use watchers to watch when the view changes and update the view component, and that all worked out pretty well. But I've been using a little bit more Vue.js recently and digging in a little bit deeper, and I've actually been using the vue-cli a little bit more, which is really neat. The vue-cli is a command line tool you can use to create Vue applications, very similar to Ember CLI, which kind of got the whole CLI boat going. There's an Angular CLI, there's a React Create Apps, it's basically a React CLI. So everyone's got a CLI these days, and Vue's got one too. And it's really neat to be able to scaffold and get a project up and going. So go ahead and you want to install the Vue CLI here. And I also wanted to try out using Nuxt.js. So Nuxt is a neat little framework for doing server-side rendering of your application. So the first thing to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to initialize a Vue package. So I'm going to do Vue init. I'll call my folder Vue.js API 4, and I'm going to use this Nuxt starter repo. So basically the templates that you choose are just GitHub repos sitting on GitHub somewhere. So it's going to download the template and it's going to scaffold up your application for you. So let's get this started. I'm going to keep the defaults for everything here. I'm not going to get too fancy with it. I'm going to cd into my Vue.js API 4. I'll use yarn to get everything going. And once it's installed, we'll come right back. Alright, so we've got our packages installed, everything ready to go. At this point, I'm actually going to open this up in Visual Studio Code. And I'll start working from in here. So let me set this up here for 1 second. Okay, so now what I can do is we can start checking out some of this stuff in here. So we have this config. We're not going to mess around with any of this config stuff. But right now I want to run npm run dev. And it's going to go ahead and it uses Webpack to build the app and get everything going for us. And once that app is built and everything's ready to go, it's going to actually serve everything up from a instance. I'll get that going here at localhost 3000. So I'll bring that over here. Just attach it there. There we go. And I've got my console over here just so I kind of check stuff going out. So what Nuxt does pretty well, it's got some routing implementations in there. And you can see here, this page is loaded from the client. So if I refresh the page has now been loaded from the server. Go back to the home page. It's going to be the same thing here. I can refresh, come to about, load from the client, and now it's been loaded from the server. If I go back and forth, you get the idea. So okay, so that's pretty neat. That's cool, right? But at this point, how can I get a map in here? If I want to add a map route here, for whatever reason. So let's go ahead and do this. The pages are stored in here. So we have our index view, which is just a template, and we've got some self-contained styles in here, which is always pretty neat. And we have our about as well. Let me shrink that terminal just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and stop my terminal down here because I found before as I added, it's fine if it updates if I edit the views, but if I add new files, it's not catching it. So stop it for now. Let's copy all this from my about view. Let's add a new page. We're going to call this page map view. Awesome. I'm just gonna copy all the about view stuff in here. We're gonna get rid of, or actually we're not gonna get rid of, let's add our button here. So we're gonna add a new button. So you can notice it's called Nuxt link. That's part of Nuxt, be able to do transitioning. And we're gonna have this go to home. We're also gonna have an about page here. So let's call this about. Let's come back to the about page. Sorry, the index page, and we're gonna add a link to the map page. And we're just gonna give this route map. And the routes that you give it are the same as the names. So everything's namespaced in that case. Did I put page here? No. Okay, so now if I come to about page, this is going to have a link to not just the home page, but it's also going to have a link to our map page. So let's do that. Call that map. Alright, so on the map page, what are we going to do? So we're going to say this page is loaded from map. We're going to keep that refresh page there and keep all of that, but we're going to add a new element in here. So let's go ahead and add a div, and we're going to give the div an ID equal to view div, right? That's what we always do. So let's keep that for a second, and let's go ahead and change the title here. My map page. Alright, so now let's come down here. Oops, I don't know what I want to do. I knew I screwed something up there. Okay, so let's run this again. Run dev, come back to our page. Refresh that. Okay, so now we have a map page. Come in here, and it's got my home page or about page. Trust me, it's the map page. So on and so forth. Okay, so now let's kind of think about how we can approach this. I want to be able to add a map in here. So where would I do that? So I might be able to do it in the data, but I'm not too sure that I want to be doing it there, because this is pretty simple information here. I'm not really going to be using this to update anything in the actual page itself. Right, so what can I do? Basically, Vue.js components. So each of these pages is a Vue.js component. And if we look at Vue.js components, they have a lifecycle hook that we can always get into. So we've got the created, where everything started. So it's just initialized there. But I don't really want to go in there because everything's not quite ready. The compile template isn't done yet at that point. So I can go into before mount or mounted, I think, because I don't imagine I'll be using the $sign element or the element in here. So let's go ahead and stick with mounted for now. So let's go with mounted. That sounds pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with mounted. One thing to note, if you are using Vue CLI, it comes with some pretty opinionated ESLint. Sorry, what's the word here? Settings? Can't really think. Yes, it comes with pretty opinionated ESLint settings, so there's no semicolons should be used, everything should be single quotes, no unused variables, and so on. You can always edit that, but just keep in mind it gets a little annoying every now and then. Simple little things that won't even compile, it just errors out. So let's put a console.log here, no semicolons, whatever reason, map, and we'll call that mounted. Alright, so I'll save that, come back up to my page up here, let's refresh that. There we go, map mounted. Okay, so now I know I'm in there. Okay, so what do I do? How am I going to get a map in here? Well, I got to add the JavaScript API somehow. There's no index.html in here for me to add that to. And actually, technically, this is using ES6 to compile. It's using Babel. But I don't see anything in here that's going to let me edit the Babel compile settings or the way that Webpack settings are done. So, okay, so that's not really going to help me out too much there. I can't edit any of that stuff. So what is someone to do when they're in this situation? So my good buddy Tom Wason over there, also works for Esri, has a great little library here called Esri Loader. Right, and if we look at the way Esri Loader works, you can just import Esri Loader into your ES6 application, and it'll let you lazy load your JavaScript modules with this little promise-based API that it's got. So it's got a method called dojo require that you just pass it the modules you want to load, give it a callback function, and it's going to go ahead and set everything up for you there. Right, and you have this is loaded, you have a little bootstrapper. Actually, it's not promise-based. I thought it was promise-based. It'd be kind of cool if it was. Tom, if you're listening, pay attention. So right, so you can get that cool, all that really cool stuff going on in there. And this looks just like a require statement, and it's going to go ahead and lazy load these modules for you directly inside your application that does not need to use AMD. Right, so he's got a little blog post explains it. He uses it for things to use like Webpack. It's really cool. It's a pretty cool little library. So let's go ahead and get that installed here. So let's stop the terminal right now. We're going to go ahead and save that. So it's installed the Esri Loader, and we're ready to go. So now what we want to do, let's start our application up again. So we got the little Webpack and builds and stuff going. So now in the mounted, I need to have a method that is going to go ahead and create my map. And I'm pretty much going to take what Tom has got in here. So let's take this create map method and let's just copy it right in here. Except I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to ES6 this a little bit, and I'm going to do this because at a later point, oops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted equals. At a later point, I need to reference the this variable inside here, and I need this to be equal to this over here, the context to be equal to the mounted context, and I don't want to do a const self equals this thing in here, so we'll just leave it at that. But one thing I'm going to do is, because I'm working in ES6 land, I'm going to go ahead, and I'm actually working with version 4 of the JavaScript API. So really, I want this map to be a this map like that, right? And that's what this function is going to look like. I got errors on here because I'm not done doing what I need to do, right? And I've got extra semicolon. It hates that so much. Save it. So let's ignore the errors for now because I'm still getting things set up. I need to have a little method in here that is going to go ahead and I'm going to copy directly from there. That's going to bootstrap the loader for me to lazy load the JavaScript API. All right, so let's get this all lined up. It complains about indents and stuff too. All right, so basically here we're going to check to see if the loader's been loaded, and if it's not been loaded, then we're going to bootstrap it. And if there's any error, we're going to console log those errors. If there's no errors, and if it's ready to go, we're going to go and run that create map method, and we're going to pass in, this is the CDN to the version of the JavaScript API that we're going to want to use. Now, if it's already been loaded, we're just going to call that method anyway. All right, so we catch errors or don't catch errors one way or the other. So here we're going to run our create map method, but no, I don't just need a map. I need to have a view as well. So let's go ahead and let's do this. We're going to say, let's do const view is equal to new. Let's bring in the scene view. We start with different lines. Okay, so Esri views scene view. Oops, forgot that. All right, I totally misspelled that. All right, there we go. Now I can do new scene view. I can say that my container is my view div, that my map is my map, and we'll just leave it at that for now. Alright, so now we got that. Awesome. One thing I need to do too down here in my style is I need to go ahead and I need to bring in the API as well as give a sizing for my view. So bring that in there. Little space there. Okay. So I'm gonna use the import URL to do all that. So I've saved it. Errors. Now I've got some errors here. And we got to take care of that. Esri loader is not defined. Oh, I know what I forgot to do. I forgot to import the Esri loader. That was very smart of me, right? Okay, so I'm going to import the Esri loader. Where's my JavaScript? Here we go. That's one thing too, working with the, oops, not what I want. Writing stuff inside these like script tags and the templates is still a little weird to me. I mean, it works, but it's fine. So 40, there's indentation issues. Again, more indentation issues, more ESLint stuff. Views assigned a value but never used, so it's going to complain about that. What I do in that case, I just say return view. This doesn't get used, but it gets rid of the error. You know, it's it's just one of those things. So now we come over here. I get a script error in here. So, oh, I'm sorry, Esri map. I'm working with 4, not 3. So there's no lowercase map. There's only an uppercase map. Why don't you guys tell me about that? And bam, there we go. We've got our nice little image there, and the actual DOM, the actual HTML that's shown is loaded from the server, the little local server with the vue-cli that Nuxt is running. And then once the actual DOM element's there, then we use JavaScript API to add the map to that DOM element. Okay, well, that's all pretty cool, but if I go to the home page, for example, and I come back to map page, it just kind of refreshes my map and I go into scene. I'm kind of interested in saving the, you know, wherever I left off at. So if I'm zoomed in here and I transition to another page and come back again, I want to kind of save that. Right, I don't want to just re-render the whole thing there. So, all right, so how can I do that? Well, all right, let's think of a couple of things here. So, basically, I need to have the camera. The camera's key. So, I want to save the camera whenever I do that. But where can I save it? Well, I kind of want to save it somewhere that's going to be easy for me to get to everywhere. So, I can do that if we come to next here, at Nuxt. I'm sorry, Nuxt, not next, Nuxt. You can see that it comes with this store that you can work with. So you can create a store. This is the classic way, and this is another way you can do it. But basically, you create the store, and you can access that store with the $sign store inside your components. So let's do that. And again, I'm adding a new file in here. So it tells me I need to add a store folder. So let's come down here. Let's add a store folder. I'm going to add a file. I'm just going to call this one index.js. Now I could call it map.js, and it would namespace the store to that. It would be a store.state.map, I believe. That would access in that case, but I'll just go ahead and do it this way. So now I want my store. I'm going to have this in another page here. So, okay. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm creating my store. I've got my state, and I want to keep track of the map, because if I create the map and I come back to the page, I don't have to recreate the map again. I will be recreating the view, but that's fine. I just don't want to be recreating the map. Watch handle, and I'll show why in a second, the watch handle. Because what I'm going to do is I want to be watching for when the view changes to update the camera on the store. And here's going to be the initial camera that I start with. All right, awesome. So let's go ahead and run dev again here. If I come to map view here, I'm going to update this code here for the create map. So again, let me go get my code that I've got saved here. One second, excuse me. And this is why I'm not a fan of no semicolons, because I get lost in what I'm doing. Okay. So I need to come back. It's going to complain about indenting if I don't do this. Alright. right. So what am I doing here? I am, whoops, where'd that break? Oh, sorry. Again, this is more of the same of breaking this kind of stuff. So let me get rid of my create map. And I think I've got all of this here. Ah, that's what I missed. 1 second here. I copy this over. That again, go back. Okay. All right, so there we go. So basically, I added in watch utils here. And use watch utils. Now I'm gonna go ahead and say that I'm gonna create my let map here. So I got a little variable from map. If store.state.map does not exist, I'm gonna go ahead and create the map. If it does exist, I'm just gonna go ahead and say map is equal to the map that's currently in my store, the state for my store. And then I've got my camera array that we defined in our little store that we have there, right? So I'm just going to equal the camera, my scene view equal to that camera here, and I actually don't need this part here. And then I'm going to go and update the store so that the actually I should move this over here. Let's copy this here. There we go, just like that. So we're going to save the map back to the store like that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to create a watch handle that we had on our store equal to watch utils for the view, right? So we're going to watch the view. When the camera changes, we're going to go ahead and update the camera that is currently in our store equal to the new camera. We're going to do camera.clone so we get a new copy of the camera. Remember, this is important. We've talked about cloning before. And then call to JSON on that. So it's just going to add the X, Y's, and the other little bits for the position that we need of the camera. All right, so that's that update there. Awesome. So now let's go to our page again. Oh, something cannot be read. Got a little error here. Let's come back to the index page. Try that again. Go to the map page. And there we go. That was just a little hiccup in there. So here's my initial camera scene, right? So just so we can see if this is working, I'm going to zoom way out. Get a nice little horizon shot there. That's cool. Let's transition to another page. Let's go home. Go to about. Go to map. And we're at that page we had before. Now, it says here this page is being loaded from the client. Let's go ahead and refresh this. And I think the actual store gets reset at that point when you refresh the page. So it's only for that instance at the time, right? And I could probably go ahead and save that to local storage if I wanted to every time I do that. There might even be a plugin for vue-cli that'll do that. I haven't checked. That'll automatically save it to local storage when they update the store. But again, that could be another option you can do too. Awesome. So just to clean things up a bit, let's come back over here. We are going to go ahead and clean up our watch handle. All right. So remember I said this is every page is a view component. And if we look at the view instance here, we have this little before destroy method that we could hook into to do some stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in here. If I can remember where everything is at. So, okay, so I'm going to add it here. And I miss semicolons. I'm missing the semicolons. I'm telling you. So then what we're going to do is we're going to get our watch handle and remove it when before we destroy this component as we transition from one page to another. And that'll just clean up a little bit of the memory in here. We don't want to have those watch handles just create new ones and new ones and new ones over again. Every time we do something. Although I think setting it to the same watch handle here every time I do it is probably fine, but rather safe than sorry, right? So come back over here to the map page. Let's go ahead and refresh. So map mounted, so that one's working. Let's zoom way out. Let's go to a whole new area here. That's a pretty cool view. Nice. All right. Now if I go ahead and I go to a new page, go to the home page, see map before the store has fired there. Come back to the map page, map mounted, and there we go. Our camera's been reset again. So everything's cool. Everything's nice and copacetic. All right, awesome. So that's just a look at how you could use vue-cli. You could use Nuxt.js with the vue-cli and the Esri loader to integrate with the non-AMD application to work with your modules. And it works out pretty nice. Everything kind of gels together pretty well. This isn't too much extra stuff to do to get a nice looking map inside of a page with the vue-cli and have routing and save the state of that view in there. And there's more you can do here. If you're doing some sort of adding points or geometries to here, you can save those into the state store. Maybe using Geometry Engine to do some cool stuff. Just save all that stuff into the store. And you can find more information on the Nuxt website and how that works. All right, awesome. So I hope to help you out today. Try out Vue.js. I've been a big fan of it recently. I've really liked it. It's a lot simpler to do quite a few things in there. And I like the idea that you can just create plain templates and stuff, and everything kind of works out pretty well with this vue-cli and Nuxt to be able to do that. Thank you.